Good morning, everybody. It's Hillary and Deb for the Ready, Set, Grow show. Thanks for joining us. And guess what? Today we're talking content. Content. And they're just like, yeah, what is this whole content thing, right? So, back when both Deb and I started our digital marketing, online marketing journeys, Deb bringing her business online, me trying to figure out what to do online.
Yeah.
um, Basically, one of the first things that I kept hearing was content, share content, share content. And even as a social media manager, we talk about content, we're sharing content. But what is this content and what do you need to share for your business? And well, yes.
Is this content?
Well, if you take a picture of it, yeah. And that is the thing that a lot of people they don't they don't know what content is. And for me, coming from this sort of academic sort of corporate background, I instantly thought of content as something written, like an article or a news, like that's what I thought of, right? So that's where I went. Writing, right? I never thought that content was a tweet and 120 characters could be content. Yes, it can be.
And I have to be honest with you guys. Hillary's been at this a lot longer than I have. When she said, "Okay, what about your content?" and I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like, yes, I have heard. I brought my business on almost 4 years ago, and I have heard content, content. Okay, I agree with Hillary. I just thought, well, I just got to write a post that be content. What can I write about today? Thinking, okay, I'm supposed to have content. So Hillary taught me a few things yesterday, and we're just going to talk about that.
Yeah. So one of the things that, content, we've got the mindset of there's social media content and then there's content, right? So if we, for example, think of these news, you turn on the news and they're running 24/7. Now, for those of us who have lived in a time when news only came on at a specific time, I felt really like it was amazing to see a news channel be on 24/7. I was like, where are they getting all of this content from? Right? Because here in Trinidad, we still have it. We don't have 24-hour news yet, right? Because we have news in an hour and maybe two or three times a day. All right. But other than that, it's like, you know, news happens at a specific time because that's all the content that you could fill, right? Now, when you think of a news network, when you think of a news network, they're like running constantly, and you're thinking, okay, where are they getting all of this content, all of this information? And it's the same thing with your business, right? You think that you need to be on 24/7 because we have the ability with the internet, right? With the internet, we could share on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and you could be everywhere. All right. When we think of other forms of content, we have Quora, Medium. I just discovered another one, Paperly, which was like interest. Yeah. Hmm.
I have a question. You're talking about all these different social media platforms. How do we get? I mean, that would take up my whole day trying to be on Facebook and then LinkedIn and then Twitter and all of those. How do we do that?
So we really just have to schedule things out, right? And I remember that was one of my biggest, like when I first came on, they were like, you gotta be in front of the people because you need eyeballs on your business. And the only way you could get eyeballs is if you have something for them to watch on your business, right? And you're like, okay, so how do I post? Like, do I post every hour? I remember there was a time when people were teaching you need to post 10 times a day. I thought
Ooh,
to myself,
I was only told three.
yeah, by the time, yeah. But
Uh-huh.
there was a time when you were taught post 10 times a day. Because when you think about it logically, if I post at 8 o'clock and I'm posting to a channel or a platform that has 6.5 million viewers, within 2 seconds, my post has disappeared. Let's be honest, right? So your audience isn't going to see it. But if you post something else, maybe around 10 o'clock, or maybe they might see it and then post another thing at 11:30, just before lunchtime, right? Everybody's starting to get onto the social channels and see what's going on. So post then. But if everybody is being told to post at the same times, then what's happening? It's still getting lost in the
Mhm.
muddle. It's
Yep.
still getting lost in the muddle, right? And that's just the social media posting. So then we came to the concept of what if we just posted one thing in one place, all right, and then let people find it, all right. And that's when we were like, okay, so content should be what you put out, not necessarily these images, these tweets, these texts, these little text messages, but actual content that people could consume and read. Kind of like, you pick up your newspaper and you read content, right?
Something that gives value.
Gives value, right? So that's when the whole value content started coming in. So there's like this journey, right? We've got the feel good content on social platforms, and then we have the value content. And I don't know, I mean, the listeners or viewers, or even Deb, if you remember a time when Facebook used to allow you to do notes. They called it notes, and it was basically like a blog post, right? They discontinued that feature,
Okay.
right? But you
Yeah.
were able to write it's kind of like articles on LinkedIn, right? Right now. But effectively what that is a blog post. You could do the same thing on Medium. Well, if you could do it on LinkedIn and on Medium, why not do it on debandrews.com?
I
Right?
like that. I like
Why
that
not
a lot.
why not do it on hillarydefreitas.com, right? So
Hmm.
that is where the your value content now starts becoming your home. And Deb, you had a very interesting story to share about you creating content on your blog, on your website.
Yeah, I did it. I was told, and so I did it. Yeah, and it just sat there. And it's like, okay, and then all of a sudden, as I'm continuing to learn and everything, now this has been a little while, it wasn't just yesterday, but still, somebody said something about posting your blog. And I'm like, what? I wrote it, but it's on my website. And I'm thinking, how did they get to my website to read my blog? And that's when it was said, you post it in a content on Facebook, LinkedIn, put the URL, and voila. Then you have
Mhm.
traffic to your website. I'm like,
Right.
light bulb moment. Okay.
And that was something that it sometimes you don't think about that. It's kind of like how, and digital marketing, I've always said that digital marketing is a small piece of marketing. All right. So let's think about what the jewelry store owner would do or the cloth store owner would do. They don't just go build their store, put all their stuff in it, and just sit back.
Right.
No, they got to get people there. So
Mm-hmm.
let's think about our own content. We create content on our blog, website, whatever you want to call it, and then you put it there. So it's like you fill the website with all sorts of good chalky stuff, and then you just sit back and wait for people to come. No, that's not what the store owner does. The store owner
No.
gets the message out. So there's the content. So this is the thing with content strategy, is sometimes twofold, because you have the value content that people want to know. It's like you're answering questions, you're sharing information, all of these type of things. And we're going to get into that, because one of the things is people always ask, okay, what are we putting on the what content do we put? And different businesses all think that, okay, well, my business is different, I can't write this. And I want to share a really quick story about buying. engagement rings, right? And I was looking how many ever years ago for my engagement ring. Yes, I looked for it because it was going to go on my finger and I wanted to make sure that I liked it. So I went and I found this website. And to be honest, I can't even remember the company's name, right? To share this. But I went on this company's website and what I found was a blog. And they were doing a comparison of all of the different companies that have engagement rings, wedding bands, etc. And they had this wonderful detailed blog about, the pricing, the cuts, where the diamonds came from, and all of these interesting things. And I dug a little more into their website and I found many other articles that were giving information. They were sharing real information so that you could understand how to take care of your rings and all of this kind of stuff. So obviously they had a post about their competitors. So I went to the competitors' websites and I found nothing except product price, product price, product price, product price. So I was just like, well, I guess we're buying it from this other company because they actually give us information, right? And that's a jewelry store. So a lot of digital marketers come online and they think, okay, well, I'm in network marketing, I'm in affiliate marketing, I could write blog posts. But here's a jewelry store that got a sale, and I'm sure they've gotten many sales just because they shared valuable content. Now, obviously, I had to be looking for them, asked a question, and found them, right? So it means that something was out there in the ether of the internet for me to be able to find, okay? Whether it was a Facebook post, a Pinterest pin. I don't even know Pinterest is around then, to be quite honest. Um, I must dig that up. But anyway, all right, a Facebook post, a LinkedIn article, a LinkedIn post, Pinterest board, Pinterest pin. But you need to be out there. So apart from sharing the value on your site, you also need to share your site with others.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, when I kept hearing content, you got to write content. I'm thinking a post. I have so much value in my blog, and it's like, duh, But again, Hillary's been at this longer than I have, and it's the little things like that it's like, oh, okay, when somebody says something to me, oh, that's how I get them to my website. I write a little bit of a blog, of a post, put a little bit of value in there that entices them to click on the link for my blog and takes them to my website. And then I have all this value, just like Hillary found with her engagement ring. So yeah, it really is not, what kind of science do I want to call it? Difficult science for
Rocket
sure.
science.
It's just a lot of it's just common sense.
Yes. And when we think, but sometimes, it takes a little process because we've got websites and we're living in a digital age where everybody is overwhelmed, right? They're overwhelmed with all the content that's out there. And one of the things that the content that you're sharing on what we call I guess all of these social platforms, even platforms like Medium, Quora, they're not social, but basically they're traffic generators. Let's put it that way, because that's where the people are. Nobody's hanging out on your website. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's hanging out on your website, but they are hanging out on Pinterest, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. That's where they're hanging out. And then you want to grab them and say, hey, come hang out over by me. Right? Basically, that's what you're doing.
Right.
So you need content to say, hey, I'm alive, I exist, come to my website. And then you need content for your website. All right. And that's where, in the social world, we talk about the link content, which is basically your blog. We talk about the video content, we talk about the text posts, and we talk about images, right? So all of those pieces of content, they're out where the traffic sources are. to grab people's attention, for them to get to know you. But then the content that you put on your site is the value that you're giving. It's what the value basically. I can't say it any other way because I got so much value from that jewelry store's website that I was like, well, duh, I'm gonna buy from you. I mean, if I need no, to be perfectly honest, I can't remember the name of the company. I wish I knew, but they gave so much value, right? That I had to buy.
And that's the thing. The post that you write, the tweet that you give, is the vehicle, the taxi cab that takes them to the establishment that you want them at, your website.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you can think of it in easy terms like that. That's little things like that helped me 4 years ago start to understand certain terminology and certain things until somebody said, write your blog. Okay, I did.
And you gotta
So
you gotta take the baby steps. And I love that you start writing your blog, and that that's what I did. And yesterday, we looked at a lot of blogs, and there are posts that have been written in, what year are we in, 2021, and there are posts that have been written in 2014 that, guess what, they're still relevant today. And that's the power of your blog, right?
right.
That is the power of your blog. And we found a brand new word yesterday, Deb. What was it? It's not a place.
Evernote.
Evergreen.
Evergreen. Evergreen. It's where
Yes.
you put your notes.
It's
Yeah,
where you put
it
your
was
notes.
like, oh my gosh, yesterday was so cool for me. And I actually did a live on it. And I had heard Evernote all the time from
Evergreen.
basically Evergreen. See, Evergreen. I had always heard it and nobody really explained it. Even though I asked a couple of times, it wasn't explained to me that I totally understood. So I figured it was just another platform. And so Miss Hillary taught me it was one of those light bulb moments that it was a learning moment and it moved me forward, one step forward in my business because now I understand, now I can teach it what evergreen is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's if we're not learning, we're not moving forward and we're not growing. And
Mm.
so Hillary was just totally awesome. And I don't even think she knows I incorporated her into my live yesterday.
Well, no, I didn't. And that is like, because Evergreen, and that is one thing that I've looked at a lot of websites. And when you look at a lot of websites, it's not that you can't update evergreen content, but I think of it this way. I'm an engineer, and I told a big joke because I told Deb yesterday, I was like, I'm an engineer, and I could never understand why every year the physics book needs to be updated. Physics has really not changed since the apple fell on Newton's head. Okay. And this is what we mean by evergreen. Gravity will always be 10G. Okay. It will always be, unless you're on the moon. It's a little less. But this is what we mean by evergreen. All right. F is equal to, like, I'm getting, all my engineering is coming out. And that is how evergreen your content needs to be. That force is equal to mass times acceleration. It's never going to change.
Yeah.
It's
So
never going to
guess what?
change.
Guess what? My blog that I wrote last year will be here in 2025 and somebody can read it
And
and they'll
somebody can read
say,
it.
oh my goodness, this is kind of fresh, but obviously somebody didn't totally understand blogging, but they got hopefully a little value from it. So
Exactly. And
yeah,
that's the type of content that you want to put out there. Content that you are going to still, 10 years from now, somebody is still going to get value from it.
yeah,
And sometimes that's hard when you're immersed in the social, because the social content is there to stop the people who are there now to get them to your website.
yeah,
But your website content needs to be something that is going to be relevant 5, 10 years down the line, as long as you're going to be in business, because you're in this for the long haul. You're not in your business for 2 years, right? Because it's going to take 5 years to get into profit anyway, right?
And I'll use my first blog as an example.
Mm,
It will be relevant in 10 years or more because it was about nutrition. I'm a nurse. I come from the medical
good. Right.
society, and so it's like, okay, there is value in that blog that somebody may pick up in 10 years. So yeah.
Very good. Yes, yes. All right. So I don't know. I think I know we've been going almost 20 minutes here already, and I'm just like trying to remember. We talked about Evergreen. We talked about your purpose of the content. We talked about the social content versus your website content.
Yep.
Um,
I think we covered it for today.
yeah. All right. So I just want to say, this series is going to be a lot more training and a lot more giving you tons of value
Yeah.
than, we need to get you in action in business. So what we want to see is some blogs coming out there, some evergreen posts, and we want to see your content. All right, share it with us, tag us in it if you want. I don't know, but maybe not. Yeah. Yeah. But definitely get your content out there. Share value on your site and stop people in their tracks to get them to the value that you've got on your site. Okay.
Right. And as
Uh,
we're doing this, I'm
mhm.
going to be asking questions. I have reverted back 4 years, and like I say, Hillary's been here longer than I have, and so I'm still learning. She's still learning,
Yeah.
but just different things. So I'm hoping that different things that I may ask Hillary or whatever is a question that you may have. But if it's not and we don't get to it, put it in the comments. We'll answer it. So we're
Yeah.
glad that you're here and you're
Definitely.
going to learn with me.
Yeah. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week as we touch on another aspect of your digital marketing journey. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Bye.